Our presentation is on facilitating quality access or quality education for access to quality education for girls in Nigeria and Nepal. And we'll be looking at two key case studies from Nepal and Nigeria, just to have a feel of what we're talking about, looking at what the work we've done with the girls, with the government, and how we've been able to build in sustainability into our programs. So first of all, I would like to discuss our approach to working with young people in Mercy Corps. So we have what we call the future-proof framework, which is just our approach to prepare the young people for what will come their way in later on in life. So first of all, looking at number one, providing the right services at the right time. What do adolescents, what do young people need at the time that we meet them? And how do we continue to work with them to ensure that we're meeting them at their needs? The second thing is that we support facilitators who are actually, who serve as the mentors, the role models for the young people, even at the community level. We apply a systems thinking to the way we work. So we just don't want to leave the girls on their own. What are the systems, the ecosystems around the young people, around the young girls, to ensure that they continue to thrive even in their communities? We go into our programs with a protection mindset, ensuring that there's protection for the girls, that they come to no harm, even as we continue to implement our programs, even within their communities. We foster an enabling environment, and we try to also link education to the economic pathways. So looking at the diagram on your right, or the right of your screen, of your screen, we we apply integrated approaches to our programming, ensuring that they get the necessary knowledge and skills. We engage them for meaningful participation, and we try to facilitate economic opportunities while also enabling, creating the enabling environment and providing safety within their communities. And the three major outcomes that we always look for is that young people are able to contribute to economic activities within their communities. They become economic actors. We also ensure that they are thriving mentally, physically, emotionally. And we also want to ensure that they become active participants even in their communities. So quickly, I want to talk about some of our key principles when we work with girls. Number one, we see adolescent girls as opportunity for transformation rather than an inevitable liability. We don't see them as burdens to bear, but we see them as active participants in the work that we do. And that's why we partner with adolescents, with the young people, even as active participants in the change, in the development that they want to see. And this is our core principle. We design with them, we don't design for them. And the third principle is that they know what works for them. So it is much important, very, very important that we listen to them, that we consult with them, even as we design the programs. So one of the programs we'll be talking about today is what we call the Engine program, Educating Nigerian Girls, New Enterprises. Engine 2, as we call it, because that was the second phase running from 2017 to 2020, transformed the future of over 18,000 girls aged 17 to 23 across 4 states, or 3 states and the Federal Capital Territory in Nigeria, and which we did mainly by supporting them to safely fulfill their potential in education and decent work. While this is not the exhaustive list of the activities that we implemented with them, but we want to say that we enhance their learning experience for girls, ensuring that the school environment or the safe spaces where learning was taking place was safe for them, that we were able to deal with issues of protection, ensuring that corporal punishment was reduced to the barest minimum, that bullying stopped. We supported and worked with the schools and the various government parastatals to ensure that the code of conduct became a living document and an active policy within the schools. We also supported girls to transition, because that's the way we saw development and progress in the work that we did with them, that they were able to transit to the next phase of education, that out of school girls were able to build assets via the economic opportunities that came their way, and they're also able to diversify their income sources and enter the workforce. We also worked to create an enabling environment, looking at the policies and laws and decrees that governed the space where adolescent girls found themselves. And like I've mentioned, This particular phase ran from April 2017 to September 2020. In Nepal, we implemented the Supporting the Education of Marginalized Girls in Kailali, and STEM for short. And more, it was more to look at the holistic model that enabled girls to, number one, access, and number two, utilize formal and non-formal education in a sustainable way. And through a major platform was the girls' clubs. And through these girls' clubs, we provided extra classes in core subjects of mathematics, science, English, and Nepali language. The diagram on the right is just a snapshot of some of the major achievements on the STEM projects. So we had over 8,000 girls receiving extra classes in the subjects that have already been mentioned. Over 500 teachers received training on student-centric upgraded teaching methodologies. And just to quickly explain that the traditional teaching methods involve teachers coming to the classroom, deliver their lessons and leave, not bothering to find out if the students understood, if they needed extra coaching or extra explanation. But when we say the student-centric or learner-centered teaching methodology, it was meeting the students or the learner at their own level and working with them to ensure that we pace them at their own level, not saying that, okay, because one girl is faster or one young person is faster than the other, then everybody understands. But it's meeting each learner at their own level. And once over 1,000 girls received the senior education examination classes to prepare them for their final exams in Nepal. And then overall, we reached over 7,000 girls and over 7,000 boys in Nepal. I'm going to hand you over to Sheila now, who will be talking about the various barriers that girls have been able to, on the way of girls to accessing education. Sheila?
Hello, hi everyone. Before I talk a bit more about the context of Nigeria and the barriers to girls' education, would like to play a few videos so you could hear from the girls' perspective of what barriers to access to education is for girls in Nigeria and also in Nepal.
According to recent reports from UNESCO, roughly 258 million children, adolescents, and youths were out of school in 2018, with girls being more at risk. UNICEF projects that 1 in every 5 of the world's out-of-school children is in Nigeria. Mercy Corps, an international relief and development agency that exists to alleviate suffering, poverty, and oppression by helping people build secure, productive, and just communities, has been running programs in Nigeria since 2012. With support from the UK government through the Girls Education Challenge, GEC, Mercy Corps implemented a 3.5-year program educating Nigerian girls in new enterprises, Engine 2, targeting adolescent girls in Nigeria. The Federal Capital Territory, commonly known as the FCT, or Abuja, is one of the 4 locations where the Engine 2 program was implemented through the Tabitha Kumi Foundation, Mercy Corps' implementing partner in the FCT.
Okay, I thank Engine very much, and we all thank Engine for this our community, because I was not only the one. I'm a mother of 3 children. Before Engine come to my community, I was not doing anything. I stopped at JS3 because my parents thought a girl.
According to recent reports from UNESCO, roughly 258 million children, adolescents, and youths were out of school in 2018, with girls being more at risk. UNICEF projects that 1 in every 5 of the world's out-of-school children is in Nigeria. Mercy Corps, an international relief and development agency that exists to alleviate suffering, poverty, and oppression by helping people build secure, productive, and just communities, has been running programs in Nigeria since 2012, with support from the UK government through the Girls Education Challenge, GEC. Mercy Cause implemented a 3.5-year program educating Nigerian girls in new enterprises, Engine 2, targeting adolescent girls in Nigeria. The Federal Capital Territory, commonly known as the FCT or Abuja, is one of the 4 locations where the Engine 2 program was implemented through Tabitha Kumi Foundation, Mercy Corps' implementing partner in the FCT.
Okay, I thank Engine very much, and we all thank Engine for this our community because I was not only the one. I'm a mother of 3 children. Before Engine come to my community, I was not doing anything. I stopped at JS3 because my parents thought a girl education is nothing, but all my brothers went to school because I've even graduated. Engine 2 taught me the importance of education, so now I am now back in school. I can now help my children to do their homework because before I've forgotten everything because I just stopped at JS3 and I can't even speak English, but with the help of Engine now I can do my children's homework. I can now speak, read and write, spell. I'm in SS2 and I'll be writing my senior WAEC next year. And because of that school I'm going, my husband too is now struggling to go back to school because he sees how important education is.
When Engine program came on board, came an eye-opener in so many other areas for us in the board. Most of these girls now stepped up in so many things. We can talk about their educational performance. They improved very well. And even their moral, their social behavior, because many of them could now speak up. They now became bold. Educating Nigerian girls for new enterprises has really done a lot of good in our schools.
Education is knowledge. What is knowledge? Knowledge is power. And with that power, a woman can go to anywhere and live her life. They taught us how to start a business. We are also invited in IOLA training, which has helped me to improve my business. They taught me how to finish, how to package my product, how to negotiate with my customers.
Then when we started the program here, we trained them more on that skill, taking it away from the local way things are made, for them to be able to access new markets.
With the help of the IOLA training, I learned a lot of new things, so I don't want it to remain on only me. I'm also educating other girls in my community because I don't want women to be suffering again. Because I want them to be like me. They should have full self-confidence. They should learn things. They should not just stay at home. So I now have a plain things which I always talk to them every day that they should come and learn. Now is the opportunity because maybe I may relocate, and I also teach them how to communicate with customers. All what I learned in that IOLO training, I am teaching my community girls so that the community can be better. But I am grateful, and the other girls, they are also grateful. So thank you. God bless you.
Engine 2, led by Mercy Corps, has set the pace for transformative change at all levels in the 4 locations where the Engine 2 program was implemented respectively. And Mercy Corps is proud to leave behind a legacy of scalable good practices at state, community, family, individual, and microeconomic levels. It is at these levels that impact, give hope, and transform lives. According to recent reports from UNESCO, roughly 258 million children, adolescents, and youths were out of school in 2018.
Sorry, what I guess we talked.
मोर नाम सविता कुमारी चौधरी हो। मैं कक्षा 8 में पढ़ती हूँ और मोर स्कूल का नाम श्री राष्ट्रीय उच्च माध्यमिक विद्यालय हो। घर परिवार में बूढ़ी बाबू और अभी मोर ठरो फैल तय गाँव कमा के आयल बटे होली मानो यही बटे और धनगढ़ी सासू ससुर बटे और जाके नंदिया और देवरा चार मेरा फिर चार छोटे में होते पता वटा नहीं पैनो कम धरे लागल मिन कसी कह के पठाई नहीं कि आयल रहे मिहिन ले उठे नहीं पता हो मिहिन है कसिन मन ले हाल रही कम के ले हाल रहे का करे लग ले हाल रहे चुट्टे लगी नहीं थे वहाँ पिटते पिटना पुतला नक न कोई ना सिर्फ नहीं गाले में पिटना मुँहे में है पिटना गाले में और मुँहे में पिटना और फुटना नक न कोई ना खेल हो जाते वह में हमें पढ़ी हूँ मैं जो नहीं पढ़ना से लगना नहीं है पढ़ना का टिकल कहीं ना जो नहीं पढ़ाए बस बात से मैं सोचती कि मोरी के लग सड्डे अपनी कमहरिया के हो कि का करूँ कमहरिया ही बनना बाकी का आने घर फेन ससुराल घर ते ले ससुराल घर जेबो तो काम तो करबो उठे नहीं घरे फेन घरे डाई कलस कि बिगड़ जीबे कही के कहती रहल अब मटर के बाबा गरिया लगल आप अपन छाहे नान ले गई के हूँ आप का खाई देबे का पढ़ेबे हूँ तोर साइड पढ़बे नहीं करी सब हूँ बिक्री हो जी मने लग कही के हूँ विदेश पठा देम कही के हूँ अब पठा दे हम कही के हूँ छाई मने रह नहीं देना हो गाँव में कही के हूँ बदनाम इन हुटे कही के रहे हमारे बाबा सब बदनाम किल करते कही के दाई बाबन के कही कहे मैं जो वास्ता नहीं करूँ हमारे बाबा का गरियाटा मिहिन गरियाटा कि डाई है गरियाटा मिहिन पता ही नहीं है तब डाई पाछे चुपे बताए छाए कही तोर बाबा ऐसी कुछ गरियाए मैं आपका घर छुपा के नाम लेंगे ऐसी करम दिन भर रात भर डाई सोच पाती देना बहुत जल्दी उठ देना नींद नहीं पड़ा कहे अब घर में तो एक दिन के लग सही दिन खाना तो बहन के का खाऊँ करना बस घरे रहना कुछ छुपे नहीं बिल्कुल हमार मैं पहले आखी सेकेंड थर्ड नहीं हुई नहीं थे मैं फर्स्ट सेकेंड थर्ड हुई आयल हुई तो 8 में भर नहीं हुई तो 8 में भर बेराम हुई नोटे मैं परीक्षा देना में मैं बेराम होगी नोटे है यहाँ लाग के मैं ओटरा मजा से पढ़े नहीं पैनू कपार बैठे ना पढ़ना में मन नहीं जाना तब हमारे कुछ नहीं हुई नहीं थे फर्स्ट सेकेंड मारो तब फर्स्ट मारो एक लौंठी संगे मैं ओकर जस्ते जानू पढ़ूँ जस्ते लागत उही अभी से जन्ना बनू जस्ते लागत अब जन्नी मने सबके सबके चिंता करबो आप मैं ते अठरा आप कुछ फे नहीं भेटो फर्स्ट सेकेंड आप बिल्कुल विषय लगना चाहे के बा विषय लाख के पास हुई ना हंसक पावे धंधा पढ़ना में पढ़ती की बस हर बार पढ़बो एक क्वेश्चन याद करबो फिर जल जीवो काम करे अब बात सुनही अब गाड़ी पैम कह के हली काम करे जीवो तब फिर एक सब पढ़े लगू तो फिर कह लगली बच्चे में बैठल बाटे कहे नहीं लागी ना ऐसी अंटे कबोटे फिर कह के हूँ दिन भर हूँ कोठा में मरल रखे हूँ कह के हूँ ऐसे कहली तब फिर हली किताब उताब ढलू तब फिर गई किनो काटे कभी काम रहते रोकठाई वैसे आप खेती पाती करना रहे थे ढेर दिन एक हफ्ता सम्म स्कूल नहीं आई थोड़ बहुत हमार बटैया वाला मनैया बावई ते ओकर घर परिवार ज़्यादा ढेर नहीं होते थे ओकर संगे हमरे फे लगा दी तबे मारे छुट्टी वैसी हुई है कबू कबू बेराम पड़ जाते नहीं ते बजाते है नहीं पढ़े जाए हो कह के कहट आप नहीं पढ़ना हो कह के कहट अब किस फे कहट है फुर्सत कभी नहीं रहते है विषय नहीं खत्म भर आप का कठै सुनती तो गेहूँ काट के सेकना के सेक के फिर दवाई पड़ल हुई है फिर धारे पड़ल फटक के वसा के धरबोटे वह घासते रोडिंग करना रहा वैसे काम थे वैसे बाहर के खेतों काम भर तब और आते है आप हिंटे वहाँ फे कम लरिया हसक यहाँ फे कम लरिया शरम हिंटे लागत मैं हमारा ठहरो कठे मैं कमाई चल जमते तू घरे चल जियो घरे पढ़ हो मैं तो हल्ला पैसा वैसा पठा देम मैं कठू महीन ऐसे काहे करत हो महीन एक नन लो पढ़ाई लग मैटरा पढ़म कही के आयल बटू अब लग नहीं पढ़ना रहते मैं कहूँ ससुराल घर आके फिर मैं कहूँ अठारह बात सुन के मैं नहीं पढ़े जीटू मैं कहूँ मोर पढ़ना इच्छा बाटा बेटो मैं कहूँ बात चटरा सुनठू अठारह का सुनठू मैं कहूँ तब फिर पढ़े चल जीठू मैं कहूँ ते कठाई की पठा देम कही कठाई ते मैं सोचूँ पठाई ते मैं घरे ते नहीं कठू काम करे चल जिम काम करके फिर डोट्यालिन घर फिर कमहरे बैठे चल जिम कठू उन्हें पढ़ाई ही ते कम से कम कठू कमहरे करे चल जिम फे कही के कठू मोर वहीं जहाँ सूखे जहाँ जके बढ़म ते कठू पढ़म ते पाछे अपन गोरम ठहरें तो मैं कठू अपने सजुल हुई कठू कसरत करके जहाँ जैसे पढ़म कठू तुहरे जाओ कही दे बोटे मैं कठूँ चाह से मैं घरे बुढ़िया हो जाऊँ और चाह ठरवाई नहीं ले मैं पढ़ के भर छोड़म कठूँ चाह कमहरे करके फिर पढ़े जाऊँ कठूँ पढ़ ले हम
So, again, thank you for joining us. We have just listened to the story of Sabita, and the previous video was the story of Fatima from Nigeria. These stories are the girls' perspectives or some of the challenges that girls face in trying to access education. In the Nigerian context, we can highlight these barriers under 4 main categories. So we have barriers specific to the household, we have barriers specific to safety, we have barriers around school infrastructure, and then also teaching quality. In Fatima's experience, she talked about how education was not necessarily a priority for her parents, especially girls' education. All her brothers were educated except Fatima. And this because one of the major barriers at household level is that investing in girls' education is not worth it for most parents, especially when the funds are limited. So we find that poverty is actually a driving cause to determine whether girls get educated within their families. Additionally, there's always insufficient time for girls. We saw this in Sabita's story too as well, because girls are constantly engaged in household chores, especially when they are now mothers and then have a home to run. We find this as a major barrier for girls to be able to access education. There's also about the thing about girls being able to make the decision on their own to be educated. That decision power is not given to the girls. So girls do not have this power to make decisions around their education. Now, safety has also come across to be a very major issue that has influenced girls' access to education across the country. On the Engine 2 program, we got feedback from our girls during the baseline evaluations that girls literally have no one to speak to about safety issues. They can't go to their parents to talk to. They don't have any reference point to be able to talk about issues or incidences of abuse that may be happening within their communities or even within the schools. Girls generally felt unsafe in schools, and this was largely because there were no structures to ensure the safety of girls. And there were also issues about girls feeling very unsafe traveling to school, especially when they have to go long distances to be able to get to school. And we see that this became one of the major barriers that affected girls' ability to be able to access education. Another issue is around school infrastructure. So this appears to be a continuous issue, irrespective of the fact that the government have started to take a lot of initiative around providing school infrastructure. However, we still find that there are schools where there are no available seats for students. And in some of these schools, it's because of the issue of capacity. So we have schools that are currently over capacity, and they are not able to cater to the needs of the students within their communities. There are also issues around poor facilities, around drinking water. Toilet facilities are not available. The ones that are available are in very poor state and not properly managed. And this affects girls, especially when you want to talk about menstrual hygiene. Girls do not have access to facilities to be able to change or even clean up properly when they find themselves stained. So you see that girls are absent during menstruation because they would rather be at home where they can take care of themselves better than be in school where they're likely to get stained and get laughed at by their peers. So this affects girls' ability to continuously stay in school. So there's a whole we have a lot of information around girls' absenteeism, around menstruation. So lack of books and learning materials has also been an issue. And this is also a lot of times directly related to some of the fiscal infrastructure, because when you have overcapacity in some of these schools, they do not even have the resources to be able to provide textbooks to all the students in the class. Another issue has been around teaching quality. So there's been incidences of teachers' absenteeism, and there's also the issue of insufficient teachers within these schools. So also the teaching approach, you heard in Abiose's introductory statement around the approach to teaching that is being used across schools, even in Nepal. So the teaching approach is very curriculum centered, and it's a broad approach, not necessarily tailored to the needs of each learner. So this has been a difficult thing. And remember, Nabil, my colleague, is going to speak more about the specific context to Nepal and some of the barriers that are facing girls in Nepal. So I'm going to hand over to Nabin. Nabin, over to you as you speak to us about Nepal.
Thank you, Sila, and thank you, everyone. Namaste from Nepal. So actually, like, though we are in a different region, the similarities is same. Like with the barriers that the girls are facing in Nigeria and Nepal has a lot of similarities. However, like there are a few differences that I would like to discuss based on the Savita cases. So though the Fatima and Savita has faced the similar challenges, but like the Savita, I would like to more highlight about like the Savita and the thousands of girls which are facing a lot of barriers in Nepal. So following the case of Savita Chaudhary here, we would like to share a few other specific barriers in Nepal that hindered marginalized girls preparing for making and sustaining a successful transition to the next level of education, employment, opportunities, and better livelihood option. The main barriers is related to prevailing cultural norms, which includes pressure for early marriage, early pregnancy, patriarchal society, and other harmful cultural practices. For instance, girls like Savita are kept in a separate hut in the time of menstruation period, where they encountered with the life-threatening risks caused by the animal bites, physical and sexual abuses. Barriers to learning in schools includes library, poor school infrastructure, and lack of wash facilities. And also there is a limited reproductive health, education and services, and inadequately trained teachers. So in Nepal, a lot of teachers belongs to male. However, the population of female is very high in the community schools. So the like most of the times when the teacher need to provide a session on reproductive health, they usually skip and say, okay, you can read about the chapter, and you have a lot of experiences. That way they just leave those kind of sessions. Others important underlying and less visible barriers includes lack of parental support. So the parental support is very different between girls and boys. Gender equalities, norms, gender-based violence, sexual abuse, lack of and politicization of the school governance activities are the major barriers in Nepal. So I'd like to hand over Sheila to share a few key recommendations.
Thank you again, Naveen. You've heard it all. Yes, in implementing our programs, we worked really closely with the government to achieve some really huge impact. However, one of our key recommendations is that government education policies should try and make it a priority around safeguarding best practices. And this is to ensure that we have an inclusive and secure learning environment for children in general, but particularly for girls. So our education policies should expand beyond just the infrastructure, should expand beyond just the curriculum, but how do we make our learning environment, our schools, a safe space for girls? How do we ensure that girls come to school and then incidences of abuse, incidences of bullying, corporal punishment, things that would hinder their access to education are sufficiently addressed? Additionally, from both contexts in Nigeria and Nepal, one key thing that we have found is that social norms around acceptance of education for girls is a huge influence, and that is what is driving community perceptions on girls' education. Because we have evidence that when you incorporate social behavioral change campaigns into education programming, you are more likely to have a huge impact on the people, because you need to change the perceptions of people. And we all acknowledge that behavioral change is a continuing challenge. So it's important that although we're thinking about girls' education, our programming should have those strong social behavioral change campaigns targeted at the gatekeepers in these communities to be able to drive the change that we want to see. Thank you. I'm going to hand over again back to my colleague, Naveen, to tell us a bit more about our sustainability approaches.
Thank you, Sheila. Like you slightly touched upon that in your key recommendation. So here also I have also partners from Nepal also and also Nigeria. I would like to acknowledge for their work. So and then how we make the sustainable. So first of all, Mercyco believes that the toughest challenge demand the boldest ideas. Mercyco tests ideas in field, measure the result, and scales the most promising solution. With these approaches, our girls' education programs focuses on sustainability and innovation. Mercyco continues engagement with government at different level towards securing its activities and achievements in the girls' education sector for longer run has resulted in promising prospect of sustainability through formation of policies, plan, guidelines, and executing it together with the government. So I'd like to share, I'd like to request CLab to share about the Nigeria case.
Yeah, so in Nigeria, as I mentioned earlier, one thing that we took as a huge priority for us when we were implementing the Educating Nigerian Girls in New Enterprises, as we call it, engine, is around expanded protection policies to enable safe access to education. So this is one component of the program that we took on board really seriously. And for us to be able to achieve results around this, we worked closely with the government from the beginning of this initiative. So one key thing that we were really proud of was being able to bring together the different institutions, different agencies that were already supporting these case management of incidences around abuse. So we came together and we developed what we called the Child and Vulnerable Adults Protection Referral Protocol. So this was more or less a case management system that ensured that incidences of child abuse, incidences of gender-related abuses were immediately addressed. So it had a referral system that ensured that somebody knew where to go to report this, and once it was reported, the survivor will receive the necessary support, be it medical, be it legal, health-related, mental, psychosocial support was provided to ensure that the survivor got all the support that they needed. And most importantly, we could also go further to prosecute the person that committed the crime. So this was something that we already had existing different agencies that were doing this, but then this allowed a more collaborative effort that ensured that we were saving time on the response for some of these incidences. And this was a very huge success for us on the program. Beyond that, we also looked into the school's code of conduct. So part of what we did was work very closely with the government agencies to review the school code of conduct to ensure that the guidelines that they had in their code of conduct for the behavior of teachers and students was geared towards providing a safe learning environment for girls. So these were policies that were going to be speaking against corporal punishment, bullying, and policies that ensure that there was somebody who these girls could actually go to and talk to. Remember in my earlier presentation that one of the barriers was girls really did not have anybody to speak to about their safety issues. So some of these policies around the school charter that we also worked with the government to review was to provide a space for girls to be able to talk about these issues and also ensure that the right behavior was in place for both teachers and students as well. One of our huge successes on the program was that this code of conduct that was jointly developed and reviewed with the government was adopted by the National Commission for Mass Literacy, Adult and Non-Formal Education here in Nigeria, and they adopted it to use across their learning centers in all the 36 states in Nigeria. For us, this is huge. This is a huge step to ensuring that girls and young women all over the country will have access to a safe learning environment when they go to these learning centers. So a huge lesson that we learned in implementing this component of the program was that in developing such a similar program, it is really important to build a relationship with the various respective government agencies. And the best way to do this is incorporate them into every aspect of the program activity from the very start. So in the planning phase, in designing how you're going to implement, working with them throughout the process was what we believed encouraged the adoption of the Child and Vulnerable Referral Protocol, as well as the School of Code of Conduct, and then the school charters that we worked hand in hand with the government to develop on. I'm going to hand over to Naveen again. Naveen, over to you to tell us a bit more about Nepal.
Thank you, Sila, for sharing like how we build our legacy with the government and also sustaining the work that we have been doing in Nigeria. So the case here in Nepal, like I'll more focus on the innovation. So how we're innovative to deal with these cases. As CLab more focused on the sustainability. Based on the increasing number of cases of girls' sexual and physical abuse in Nepal, our project intensively focused on building awareness about preventing adolescent sexual and physical abuse, establishing a community support system for protecting girls and women in the project area, and teaching them individual skills. So, switching the traditional training method, which revolved around the lectures, the project designed a Saksham Shori training in partnership with BASE and Girls Kick, which engages participants through the training, uses different participatory method, involves parents and other stakeholders to create enabling environment for adolescent girls. Saksham Shori training is a method that enables girls and women to deal with day-to-day challenges, lowers the risk of them being subjected to some forms of abuse through building their ability with psychological, verbal, and physical techniques. So this training is a very famous training in Nepal, which is also enjoyed, not only participated, but also enjoyed and owned by a lot of adolescent girls in the region. So a part of that, in partnership with the local and provincial government, we supported schools in Nepal to establish complaint hearing mechanism, which provided all the students, including girls, to share their feedback, complain with any hesitation. Whereas the school management also more responsible to deal with the feedback that is very like circular to the students. The feedback is kept very confidential and should respond in every week. With this, like they really establish a my voice box where they can really speak up their voice to the wider audience in a confidential way. In addition to that, we also do a lot of activities which Sila has explained, like linking with the essential services, legal, psychological, and rehabilitations. Because Mercy Corps do not provide all these services, so we build a kind of network and connection with the schools so that the girls and also the larger student could get those kind of access. Similarly, following the new federal structure, Mercy Corps supported government for making education and protection policies at local and provincial level and linking local government with the federal structure. And also, we also formed a network of the female graduates which were trained through this project. For the sustainability of the Saksham Story, our volunteers have formed a network to continue this program as a campaign for increasing comprehensive awareness on safety and prevention to violence. This is aimed to build violence-free and enabling environment in society. Next slide, please. So here I would like to really share the statistical achievements and also the how we make the program sustainable in Nepal. So the Saksham Story training package, like we also have a partner here, Girls Kick, who are expanding this training package in not only in the STEM area but also in the largely in the Nepal. A lot of NGOs, including World Vision and VSA and other partners, they have already incorporated that approaches in the program area. Similarly, a lot of NGOs and local government are investing on this. We also supported provincial government for education plan and strategy that directly benefiting more than 800,000 students in the region. And Young Girls established a network leveraging funds from the public, private, and government for safeguarding campaigning. So with this kind of initiatives, they are continuing the effort that was established by the project. And Mercy Corps works as a core member in a National Education and Protection Cluster for Strategy Development and Capacity Development, where we provided a lot of support, a lot of feedback from the field to formulate a different kind of policies and also procedures and guidelines at national level. Here is a video like that. They really share how we worked for sustaining our safeguarding of
Sexual and physical abuse of girls is widely prevalent in Nepal. To create a safe and conducive environment for girls to learn, Stem2 conducted awareness-raising campaigns on sexual and physical abuse, established a community support system for protecting girls and women, and taught girls self-defense skills. As well as conducting awareness-raising activities at schools, communities, and local on sexual and physical abuse of girls is widely prevalent in Nepal. To create a safe and conducive environment for girls to learn, Stem2 conducted awareness-raising campaigns on sexual and physical abuse, established a community support system for protecting girls and women, and taught girls self-defense skills. As well as conducting awareness-raising activities at schools, communities, and local government, the project used radio to deliver public service announcements on gender-based violence, physical, and sexual abuse to share information on a mechanism for reporting abuse. The child safeguarding mechanism operates through a complaint handling and referral system. The project, in partnership with Girls Kick, designed a self-defense training that teaches girls how to respond to sexual harassment with psychological, verbal, and physical defense skills. The project developed a peer support system to provide training to 88 local youth leaders to share their self-defense skills to their peer and communities. In response to the COVID-19 pandemic, the project disseminated toll-free hotline numbers for accessing support for mental and physical well-being of adolescents during the crisis period. Stem2 has provided 3,731 in-school girls from grades 8, 9, and 10 and 650 out-of-school girls with self-defense training and sensitize schools, communities, and local leaders to safeguarding issues and child protection. The results include increased girls' self-confidence and feelings of safety. Through the self-defense training, girls are equipped to assess risk and engage in defense from sexual harassment and abuse. Increased leadership skills among youths. The peer support system empowers young people to deliver trainings and interact with parents and teachers, advocating for safer communities for girls. Improved attitudes towards physical and sexual abuse. Awareness-raising campaigns have changed parents' and teachers' attitudes. As a result, more are actively involved in the community support mechanism that protects girls and women. Increased awareness among local leaders. Representatives of local municipalities have made commitments to include self-defense trainings in their upcoming development plans. In addition, Stem2 has successfully supported the drafting and finalizing of child safeguarding policies that focuses on building a safe environment for girls in 6 target municipalities in Kailali.
So we just see a video of how we really develop innovative tools to deal with the abuses that happen around the girls in the communities that where we are working. So and then from all these interventions and all the experiences, we would like to recommend that I think the most important approaches to work with the girls is the peer-to-peer support. So which enables the girls to continue their learning in the time of any emergency or crisis. We can see a lot of girls, they are sharing a lot of information, supporting their peers, and also engaging them at the community level during the time of pandemic, because we build that kind of peer-to-peer approaches during the time of program. So in Nepal, together with us, like other GEC partners are also implementing the same kind of approaches here, which is also proven one of the best approaches to work with the girls. And also building system would impact wider impact. So actually, when we build rather than providing a kind of training or a very specific intervention, it would be great to have like a working with the system. So working Mercy Corps, we work in a community with the schools management committee and also parents teachers association. Whereas in the local level, we work with the local government, and provincial level, we work with the provincial government and other stakeholders. So we work in the system, and then where the system and also the government agency also get a lot of chances to to execute the activities together with us, and there was a huge learning between the different partners. That also have we easily transfer the skills and knowledge to the system, and then build the system better. And evidence-based intervention to ensure the value for money and efficiency. Because when we design any kind of activities, then we always refer to the data, we always refer to the assessment that we did. So first of all, when we started our intervention, we found that a lot of girls belongs to the elite group. They participated in the intervention, but the training was very successful. However, like, we are not reaching the marginalized girls, we are not reaching the girls who are in the different tier of marginalization. So every time when we design an intervention that requires a lot of information, maybe that can be gathered in through a primary research or secondary research. And also, capacity building should focus on transformative change rather than knowledge building. So Saksham Shori is one of the intervention where we also focus on the transformative change that allow the girls to discuss a lot of their own issue by themselves, and then they started talking and sharing about their issues to the parents, which was very new in Nepal. Like we haven't really seen girls talking about their issues around the sexual abuse or reproductive health to their parents, especially the fathers. But this type of training really helped them to speak out and then speak up with their parents, so that they can deal with any problem very easily. And that makes not only change the life of the girls, but also change the way of thinking in the family. And also, engaging men and boys is more important for gender and transformative change. Though the project was like its name is Girls Education Challenge, we were focusing on a lot in the girls, but we also found that we equally need to focus on the boys, because without changing the mindset, without changing the behaviors of the boys and also the men, it will be very difficult to change the society and make it more comfortable for the girls. So I would like to hand over to Sila for the next presentation.
Thank you, Naveen. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I think I'm just going to pick on one thing that he said as we move on to this next session. It's about evidence. So one thing that we found, especially when you're working with marginalized groups, is, as I mentioned when we're talking about the barriers, poverty is still a huge barrier. And this has a lot to do with what determines access to education for girls. In Nigeria, basic education is largely free. However, apart from school fees, there are other things that a parent will need to pay for to be able to ensure that a child has access to education. So one of the key components for us in implementing the NG2 program was around skills building for girls. How do we empower these girls with income earning skills? And then more importantly, when girls come out of school, what next? How do we ensure that girls are able to transition to work or to the labor force? So in the next slide, I'm going to be highlighting a few things that we did around skills building and school to work transitions for girls, especially for girls who are out of schools. So for us in the Engine 2 program, one of the key things that we did was try to re-enroll girls who were out of school back into formal education, and also build their vocational skills to ensure that they had some income earning skills or the ability to start some form of business to be able to earn an income. And this because a lot of the girls who were already out of school were actually already engaged in one form of income or the other, business or the other, to support their families. We were working with girls who were practically the heads of household because they were taking care of aged parents or parents who were terminally ill. We had girls who had become widows even before the age of 18. We had girls who became pregnant before the age of 18 on this program. So you find that for these girls, a source of income was an imperative means for them. That was a huge priority. It almost appeared that education was a second priority. So in order to endear these girls to education, one of the approaches that we used on the program was to provide them with these skills, which they believed were going to help them earn some form of income. So it was a key approach that the program used, especially with girls who were out of school, to ensure that they had access to education. So part of what we did was, even during the regular classes, we would have like an hour of skills building where we would have an artist come in and teach girls how to sew or how to make bags within learning empowerment. So this encouraged the girls to actually attend lessons. So they were learning their English, they were learning the maths. At the same time, they were building skills that they could use to earn income, which was very important, especially for out of school girls who were already looking for a source of income. So this meant that girls were no longer vulnerable to being part of some of this illicit works that young girls easily get engaged in. So one key approach that we used was establishing partnerships with local businesses within the communities where these girls are. For Engine 2, we're able to establish over 190 partnership with local businesses. So these included tailors, painters, and one thing we also tried to encourage with our girls was try and bend the rules a bit around what girls can or cannot do. So we had girls who were interested in painting, for instance. In one community, we had a girl who became interested in becoming a barber. Yeah, like haircut. And this was something that was not a usual norm for girls. So one of the things we did was try to encourage girls around this. We also had a partnership with another UK funded project, and this was in Kaduna and Kano, where we built the capacity of girls around vocational skills. This was Mafita, yes. And in the end, we're able to give girls, over 2,000 girls, vocational skills training, which enabled them to start up businesses. Now, also more importantly, we realized that for their businesses to thrive, they need to have access to funds. So one of the things that we also tried to do, and this was leveraging on the already existing Central Bank of Nigeria's initiative around financial inclusion, we were able to leverage with microfinance banks and different banks to secure low interest rate loans for our girls. And these were loans without collateral based on the partnerships that we had. Really great. Girls were able to get access to these loans. Now, in the end, we're also able to bring girls together within their communities to set up local cooperatives. So these became savings groups for these girls too as well. But then getting what we did was, beyond just having a group of girls coming together, we were able to work with these girls to register as formal cooperatives within the government agency. So this gave them access, even more credibility with the banks, even more credibility with the financial institutions, to be able to secure loan for joint businesses. So for instance, we had girls in Lagos who were already selling fish. So they were engaged in fishery, sort of. So coming together as a group gave them credibility before the banks because they were also registered. And this was some of the things that the program was able to do with these girls to ensure that they had funds to be able to continue their education beyond the basic education. They were able to go on to tertiary institutions as well, being able to support themselves in this light as well. Now, in the end, Engine 2 was able to empower over 1,000 girls to access financial services such as bank accounts. We also ensured that they had banking services, so they could use the ATM as well where it was available. And government loans were available. One of our huge successes around these loans was a partnership we had with the Lagos State Trust Fund, which ensured that over 29,000 worth of business loans were made available to girls in Lagos. Girls were able to use this money to expand their existing business. And for a lot of these girls, after secondary school, that was high school in most cases, girls were still able to continue to tertiary institution with the funds that they were getting from their businesses. And for us, this was a huge success. This meant that out beyond the program, the girls were still going to continue to have access to education because they now had some form of income as well. So I'm going to hand over back to my colleague who is going to play a video to tell you a bit of a story. So this is going to be you hearing from the perspective of the girls who,
located in the northwest zone of Nigeria, ranked 4th by land area. Kaduna, located in the northwest zone of Nigeria, ranked 4th by land area and 3rd by population in Nigeria. It is one of the 4 states Kaduna, located in the northwest zone of Nigeria, ranked 4th by land area and 3rd by population in Nigeria. It is through kindly hope across nations in Kaduna, located in the northwest zone of Nigeria, ranked 4th by land area and 3rd by population in Nigeria. It is one of the 4 states where the Engine 2 program was implemented through Kindly Hope Across Nations Initiative, CAN, Mercy Corps' implementing partner in Kaduna. Having the required skills and knowledge is necessary to be able to survive in the present-day Kaduna. Hitherto, survival becomes hard for the marginalized population, that is, the women and the girl child.
When the journey started, I was fully involved in the selection of teachers that are involved in the teaching of the student, both for the in-school and out-of-school girls.
Like most of us, we don't really like maths, but most of the times when it gives us a take, we don't like it. Engine maths class. The class was very good, but in the class we had few and we were able to ask questions and they put us through. So from there we were able to love maths literally, unlike before. English was also good because coming to the issue of comprehension and letter writings, most games we are finding very difficult on how to introduce right address. But when they came to Engine, the teachers took their times to teach us bit by bit, and then we were able to write letters without challenges, and we were able to answer comprehension questions.
We are very happy with Mexico, has benefited from their scholarship to write NECO exams. You find some of our marginalized girls, they will reach up to SS3, but to pay for the exam will become a problem, and you see that she will graduate without writing that final exam.
I finished secondary school. I did not make my papers, so Engine helped me and register NECO for me again to rewrite it. I learned a lot. I learned how to calculate in mathematics. Even in English, I learned many things.
Engine gave me more confidence to continue my education after finishing secondary schools.
Engine came, we explained that we have nothing doing with, we have cooperative, but we don't have anything that will help us in our cooperative. So Engine asked us that what do we want to do in a cooperative? We say we want to farm yam. So Engine now help us to farm yam. We have harvested the yam. We sell it 45,000 naira now. And we still have some yam in the farm.
Coming to the Engine farm, we have a large portion of land in the school. Then I marked a hectare for these Engine girls. And with the help of the community and also the student, we cultivated that land, and through Engine supply us with the seedling. We harvest almost 20 ridges now.
We have many of us that learn sewing through Engine.
Da farko na fara Engine kaman wasa, ban ma san me ake kira da cewa Engine ba. Aka zo aka ce za a bude Engine, mijina ya je kai sunana. Na shiga, na je muka fara zuwa kaman wasa. Akwai abokan zuwa na da muke zuwa. Duk sun daina zuwa, amma ni saboda kullun zai karfafa min gwiwa, ce ki je ki koya, ko ilimi kika samu kika karu da shi, tunda ni da farko ban yi karatu ba. Na dai fara primary school aji na 3, shikenan sai aka yi min aure. Na koyi harkokin sana'a, na koyi yadda ake ajiyan kuɗi in shiga adashi in tara in taimaki yarana da mijina. A gun sana'a na da idan an zo an sai kaya wata ran ina ruɗewa ban iya lissafi ba amma da na koyi mathematics daga nan na koyi lissafi ko nawa ne kuɗi in dai shi ma ɗinki aikin hannu in ka koye shi yana taimakon ka sosai da sosai.
We conducted exam, and after the exam, the Agency for Mass Literacy has given a certificate to 985 post-basic and 128 basic literacy graduates.
Mexico also supported us to review the training manual for the guidance counseling for the training of teachers, and we have adapted it in the state. Our commissioner really was so happy with that document, and we had to share it with the council, Kaduna State government. I remember we wrote a letter to the governor, and the document is now fully part of a document that will be used in the training of our guidance counselors. And the Ministry of Education is looking at the do no harm oath, so that every teacher in the state should sign that do no harm oath.
I want to, on behalf of the Minister of Education, in fact, and entire people of Kaduna State, express our appreciation to Engine program that have worked in the state for the last 3 years. Once again, thank you very much.
Engine 2, led by Mercy Corps, has set the pace for transformative change at all levels in the 4 locations where the Engine 2 program was implemented respectively. And Mercy Corps is proud to leave behind a legacy of scalable good practices at state, community, family, individual, and microeconomic levels. It is at these levels that impact, give hope, and transform lives.
Thank you very much, Abiose, for showing that video. Also, thank you for listening in. I know it's been a lot of videos that we've played today, but one thing that was really important for us for this side event was to showcase the voices of our girls. We really wanted you to hear this from the voices of our girls, so that's why we had a lot of videos. I hope it has been enjoyable for you so far. But before we round up, one key recommendation we would like to leave with you is, as I've mentioned over again over the presentation, poverty still remains a key barrier to accessing education for girls. And it is therefore important that we integrate economic empowerment initiatives in all our education programs. And that's because if we really want to target the vulnerable girls, the marginalized girls in the community, we need to ensure that girls are empowered. They need financial autonomy to be able to continue going to school, and that's something that we have seen evident in our program, because girls have priorities, especially girls who are heads of households, girls who have children. You would find that girls are absent from schools because they want to go after one economic activity or the other. So when we incorporate these economic empowerment initiatives into the education programs, it would therefore ensure that girls are going to school, they're getting the education that they need, whilst also building income earning skills too as well. So thank you again for your time. I would hand over now to my colleague Abiose.
Thank you, Sheila. Thank you, Nabin, for the various sessions. And now we are opening the floor for question and answer, and this will be handled by Cicely Clark, who is our Senior Program Officer for the Middle East. Cicely, over to you.
Hi everyone, welcome. So yes, thank you for listening to that session, and just to give a big thank you out to Abiose, Sheila and Nevin for all of their time and the presentations today. So we have one Q&A which has come through by the message, and please don't be shy, we've got plenty of time if others have questions as well. So we have a question here from Nirag, what is the role of men's engagement in minimizing violence, abuse, and discrimination against women in Nigeria? And if you have any best practice and plans to replicate this in the future, and to please kind of share your thoughts on that. So maybe I could hand over to Sheila, if that's okay, to help answer this question.
Yeah, thank you, Cicely, and thank you for that question. So I have to start off by saying that this is an ongoing issue, and there are still a lot of initiatives. Mercy Corps as an organization in Nigeria, beyond education, so we have different programs that we are currently implementing in Nigeria, and one of them is around peace building and conflict management. And in these programs, we have embedded different safeguarding initiatives, especially around protection. So one of the approaches that one of our programs has used in trying to engage men is also creating men groups. All right, so these groups are groups that we sort of empower them. So we do a lot of training with these groups to try and ensure that we're limiting that specifically for the Engine 2 program. So one of the things that we did was around our child and vulnerable adult protection was conduct trainings for men in the community. So we had not fathers, all the men in the community. So bring them to speed about ensure that they had knowledge around what even abuse is, because you would be surprised to find out some of these things are social norms. They don't even see anything wrong with these things. So one of the things, approaches that we use in the program around expanded protection policies was training. So we organized a lot of trainings within the schools, in the communities, the various stakeholders that we worked with, to ensure that people are aware of what this means. And then also educating them about the child and vulnerable adult referral protocol. So people knew that if there were incidences of violence, this and this is what they were going to do. So if you listen to one of the videos, one of the things that they said was in the school environment, so we have what we call guidance counselors. So these are teachers who are assigned these protection roles. And one of our key successes were being able to bring male teachers into these roles to be champions for girls, to ensure that there were going to be minimal incidences of violence against girls and women. So getting what we also call gender champions within the communities. And a lot of our gender champions within the communities by the end of the program were men. And these were people that we had trained during the program to more or less champion the cause in their communities. So you find that these were the men who were looking out for these abuses and ensuring that survivors were getting the necessary support that they needed, using the channels that we have identified during the program. So I don't know if that adequately responds to your question, but maybe somebody else can contribute to this. Abiose, anyone, but let me know if there is anything more you'd want to learn around this.
I think you've answered to the best. I mean, I would have said the same thing. The men groups were mainly one of our approaches in ensuring that we're able to get their involvement in the programs and to change their perception about what abuse really is, even within the communities.
Wonderful, thank you. So let me open up the floor now then to anybody for any further questions. And please don't be shy. I know there was a lot of information provided over this last hour, but yeah, for our own benefit as well, I think we'd be really keen to understand and learn any questions that you may have, or how you may, anything that kind of provokes thought from these presentations about how you're implementing or advising on your own education programs.
Okay, while we're still waiting for further questions, I would like to introduce our partners in Nepal and Nigeria. We have Kusum Casey, who is the head of the Girls Kick, the partner that really helped to develop that safeguarding, that video that we saw, teaching girls how to guard themselves against abuse. She is here on the platform. We also have Dr. Taminua Sefia, who is with the Universal Basic Education Board here in Nigeria. They were one of the government partners who adopted the code of conduct. So we also like just to hear their voices based on their experiences in the course of the programs. So I would like to call on Kusum first.
Hello everyone and namaste. It's me Kusum Keshi. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yes, okay. It's me Kusum Keshi from Nepal and a public health graduate, and I would like to prefer myself as a girls' rights activist. Already Navin sir has shared the presentation about the girls related issues and our innovative works, that is Saksam Chhori program. As we are leading a self-defense program and collaboration with Mercy Corps of Nepal, we are very proud to be a part of this event, and we have already trained youth, especially adolescent girls from Kanchanpur and Kailali, and these Saksam Chhori facilitators are now engaged in lobbying coordination with the local governments in Nepal, and they are also doing the Saksam Chhori campaign even during the COVID-19 second wave of COVID-19 durations, and we are very much happy and proud of their activities, and they are also connected in the social media platform. They are asking and sharing their thought in our social media messenger group. We have created a messenger group. If they have any problem, they are now keep in touch with us. Basically, we have a self-defense program, and we have three components in self-defense program. First one is, I would like to say that know yourself. We internalize the youth about their strength and weakness in this session. Similarly, second component, we are focusing on know your society. In this session, we are focusing about the social issues and how youth, especially girls, can socialize about their problems and in the society. And third one is know the legal. In this session, we are also sensitized with the youth and adolescent about the national and international legal provisions which are related to the violence, abuse, rape, even acid attack. For now, I would like to share that if we give equal opportunity to both youth, girls and boys equally, and girls can do more better, and we can also support to achieve the Sustainable Development Goal, SDG, Global Agenda, Goal number 5, gender equality. And thank you so much, Navin sir, for this opportunity, and Mercy Corps of Nepal. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kusum. Dr. Tamanwa.
Naveen, oh, sorry, that was not a hands up, that was a clap.
Dr. Tamanwa, over to you.
Yeah, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I'm glad to be part of this great conversation this afternoon. I have had so much, especially the explanation from Sheila about what is happening in our country, Nigeria, which is awesome. And just to add to what she has said, truly in the area of like infrastructure, definitely there's a great challenge, but we are also grateful that the government are also doing great to help so that they could surmount all those challenges we are having in that approach. Like in FCT, we know that there's great influx of people from other states into FCT. So definitely there's a great challenge in that area. But however, they are still doing a lot to see that they're able to cope up most of these infrastructure problems so that our girls will really have a safe space for education. And also in the area of sensitization, yes, we as a gender champions, just as she said, the men have joined us in championing the cause. So much so that now you could see that the boys are clamoring, especially during the engine program. They'll be saying, why is it that it is only engine girls, what of boys? So the board, for instance, is now looking into how we could be sensitizing these boys so that they too should be aware of whatever that is being done to the girls. And we know the process may not be fast, but it's gradual, but at least the information is being disseminated to them, so much so that now they can protect the girls, unlike before, that sometimes when you talk about menstrual hygiene, they'll laugh at the girls and everything, but now it is no more happening in that manner. In fact, if, for instance, in the class, they should see any girl that is 10, the boys are willing to even remove their cardigan and shield the girls. So I think the information is sinking to the right direction. So what we are saying is now, probably if there's any other empowerment or something that should be done, the boys too should be included, so that in that way they will have the information. Because when we just talk with only the girls, yes, we are just like constraining the whole, but if we just like to say inclusiveness in whatever we are doing, if we should include the boys, let them know the norms, or let them know the do's and the don'ts, just like it is stated in the code of conduct that now is being placed visibly in most of our schools. Whoever is visiting is seeing it. This is what as a visitor you are not supposed to do. This is what as a teacher you are supposed to do, or you are not supposed to do. It's going a long way helping even in the school environment. So we'll also solicit that more of the boys training also should come in, because already you have stated so much of what has been done to the girls, and it's so awesome. We have seen the impact of it. We have seen how the girls now have improved greatly, and even in the area of economic empowerment, some of them that were privileged to be trained are not just folding their hands, they are also helping others. They want to train others, so that these peer educators, some of them have even transited from the schools, but there are some of them who are willingly volunteering to come back and see how, especially those of them that have junior ones in that same school they must have passed, they are willing to come and see how these little ones are doing. So it is awesome and great, which showed us the work done by Engine 2 and their implementing partner, Tabitha Kumi Foundation, is not in vain. It is still being, their impact is still being felt in the schools that they have taught, and not only the schools they have worked in, but it has been replicated also in other schools. So when you now talk of engine, it is not only just the engine schools. So engine is like a general term to most of the people who have come across it. So I think it's great. So to add just a little to the question that was being said about men and boys, truly the men need to be educated. They need to know. If they don't know, some of them truly don't believe that some of the abuses that they do, as if it is something out of place. They feel it as if it is a right. So, but if they are being taught and they are being educated and they still do not do it, the law will catch up with them. Thank you very much. I'm glad to be part of the conversation, and I pray that the little I've said must have added one or two things. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Tamanwa. Thank you. Cicely?
Yeah, wonderful additions. Thank you very much. And really interesting to hear about just the extension of the impact beyond the communities that Engine did work in. That's really reassuring and positive to hear. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions they want to share at this side, or is there anybody else who would like to share some closing comments, I guess, at this stage? Abiosi, shall I hand back to you then for any closing comments from yourself or the team?
All right, thank you. And thank you everyone for your patience till this time. We've heard the stories, and we believe that because one of the, this side event is part of the Global Education Summit 2021, and this is trying to get the support of governments all over the world to commit more funding to girls' education, especially when it comes to really supporting them, not just pay lip service to it, but really committing funds that will go a long way in ensuring that access is facilitated for girls, leaving no girl behind. I've mentioned in the chat box, if you have filled in your details in the form, the link to the form that was shared, we'll be receiving a copy of the presentation after this session. And we also have a link to resources in the slide. So you can read more about these two programs. And you can always reach out to either Nabin in Nepal or Sheila in Nigeria, or myself or Cicely for more questions. We have Kusum, we have Dr. Tamanwa, just to keep the conversation going. It doesn't need to end at this on this Zoom platform. It's an ongoing conversation, and we will not rest on our oars until every girl has access to quality education.